After the Iraq war protests failed in America, and they failed so hard despite the numbers of people on the streets, I felt like it would just be like a preachy lie if I used my politics in my artwork. I felt like exploitive of it, and also because I was working in nightlife and I was working drawing all these like pretty girls, and I kind of trivialized myself, and I thought I don't deserve to do this. But then when Occupy happened, it felt like this moment where it was incumbent on all of us to take a stand, and I wanted to do that with my artwork because I am an artist. We live in one of the most media-saturated times in history. Every time a cop beats someone up, every time a bomb goes off, there are millions of twit pics, there are millions of cell phone photos, and these are incredibly valuable as documents, but the sheer multiplicity of images can lead to numbness, it can lead to saturation. Whereas art, because it's done by hand, it has a way to distill the essential. It has a way to make people look when they might not have looked at photos. Well, art isn't legal proof of anything. I can't take my drawing and be like, look at this, look. I think I'm always motivated, and the through line in my work is I look at smart people fighting against adverse circumstances, fighting against oppression. I think I'm just drawn to that. I guess I'm just drawn to the rebel. I mean, on one hand, I feel like an ass all the time. Like when I go back, like I really do feel like total triviality. And also, I have to admit, it's not just going home. There's something particularly repellent about us journalists, like standing, at this beautiful background and being like, let me like be in this glamorous place and, talk about the terrible things that have been, done to people who I've written about. Like that's actually, if I want to talk about like when I particularly hate myself, it'd probably be at that moment. However, I think that my other perspective is that people don't choose to be victimized. People don't choose. There's no glory in suffering, for the sake of making yourself feel morally clean. It's just about being effective and conveying the truth as best you can, or about being effective in your work. There's no essential like goodness to wearing, a shirt made of nettles and sleeping on, a bed of straw. It's not going to work. I mean, it's not going to work. I think that's beyond anything else, beyond the right that all humans have to free movement. And it's not just, I hate when people do like the good refugee and the bad migrant dichotomy as if poverty isn't its own sort of violence. But it's not, you can't actually restrict the movement of people on this earth. People want better lives. People want to flee wars. All you can do is make your society into a fascist police state, and it still won't actually stop it. Some of the finest war journalists in the world are women who do much, 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 much riskier things than I do. Look at, Marie Colvin, or Rania Abu Zaid is one of like the greatest journalists covering Syria right now. I don't know the actual numbers, but I feel like in terms of the names of like the really great journalists who are doing war coverage, I feel like I hear just as much, if not more, women than men doing that. And they're doing stuff far riskier than I've ever done. No, I have to admit that this trip it's part of my mandatory post-book recovery. So I feel like instead I might be going to beautiful cities and perhaps Goa.
Another question then. So do you take breaks from the war and the suffering? Because your latest series is
Pictures of Friends.
Pictures of Friends. So do you sort of pace that to keep yourself, I guess, sane on some level?
I do, because I miss them also. I've been traveling so much, and these are like my girls, like these are my friends, and I miss them, and a lot of the method that I would do, since I would collage the background, and I would do it on all sorts of different things, so I would draw them on like scraps of paper from my travels, like my bag tickets or like my receipts, and then I'd collage it, and I'd paint them all big, and then they could write on it, and they're like acts of love, But in reality, I haven't been since my book came out, I've been kind of on the like book, I call it the road of the shildebeest, because you're like constantly like shill, like a little beast, So I've been kind of on a break from doing journalism to promote the book, but hopefully, I'll be done with that soon, and then I'll go back to it.